And look who's here to join us and talk about this. The voice of women's hockey here on TSN. Kenzie Lalonde is here. Kenzie, this is, would you say, an historic day for women's hockey? Finally, we're going to get one women's professional pro league in North America.
Absolutely. This is what, hockey fans have been dreaming of and players have hoped for, and it's finally going to happen. So the PHF, the Premier Hockey Federation, has been purchased by Billie King Enterprises and Mark Walter Group. So right now, that means for the Premier Hockey Federation, those players, those contracts are currently voided. So the next steps right now, we look at the PWHPA union members are currently voting on a CBA and the standard player agreement. So as soon as those get finalized, we'll have further steps moving forward. But what we do know, and it's sounding like this will be a 6-league team with expectations start in January. The known markets or potential teams will probably come down around November and December. But what's kind of, the most exciting part about this is that it will be a league that has a CBA in place before the league begins. So you look at proper compensation and benefits like mat leave and accommodations. Those things will be laid out in concrete before this league begins. So that's excellent news because we've been fighting for a sustainable league that will move on in years' times, and that's what will happen here. So it's great news. I certainly do feel for these PHF players who just found out possibly on social media, and the athletes that have this expected contract coming their way. They had hoped to play in September or October in the PHF, and now they don't know their future in the women's game. But as Cheryl Pounder and I have said for many years, covering the World Championship, that in order to close this gap internationally, we need to have one league, and we need those to be the best players in the league playing in it. So that's what's going to happen in the near future. It
seems very positive, no question about that. I wanted to ask you about the NHL because, we know the close association between the WNBA and the NBA, and we assumed that when we finally did get that one women's pro league that the NHL would probably somehow be involved. What is the level of interest that the NHL has in potentially being involved in a women's pro league in this continent?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that, Jay, because not long ago when Gary Bettman stopped by in Montreal at the Bell Center to have his annual chat with local media and appear at the Bell Center, I asked him, where is the NHL at in their involvement with working towards a professional women's hockey league? And he said until there is one league, the NHL will then step forward and look to get involved. So it appears that is happening. So you have to think that Gary Bettman and the NHL will be closely monitoring the progression here. And that can only be good things, as we've seen great success with the NBA and WNBA in their close relationship.
I love it. We just put Gary on the spot, and there's nothing I love more. Kenzie, hang tight. A little later in the show, Kenzie will be back because not only is she the voice of women's hockey on this network, she's also our Montreal Canadiens bureau chief. And we're going to talk about the Habs draft on Wednesday and other potential moves they might make as we head toward free agency. That's later on SportsCenter.